Hey guys, this is David Wright. October the 11th, 2013, exactly 1 year ago from today, I was in a very bad motorcycle accident. A lady pulled out in front of me from an apartment complex parking lot while I was doing 40 miles an hour. She came to a full and complete stop. I looked at her. She turned as if she was looking right at me. Sat there for a couple of seconds and then literally pulled out in front of me when I was no more than 25 to 30 feet from her. I slammed into the side of her car doing 40 miles an hour. I was too close to take any good evasive action. I was too close to try to lay the bike down or to try to hit the ditch. When I described the accident to the trauma surgeon at the hospital, he literally couldn't believe it. He asked me again how fast I was going. And he said, "You didn't go over the top of the car or anything?" I said, "No, I went from 40 miles an hour to a dead stop. I just slammed in the side of her door. When the wreck was over, I was laying on top of my motorcycle." And he couldn't believe it. He said, "Most people don't survive that wreck." Well, I was pretty messed up though. Both my arms were badly broken. My left arm, I broke the radius and ulna. I had to have plates and screws to repair it. In my right arm, I literally crushed my right wrist. The orthopedic surgeon said I had over 20 fractures just in my right wrist. It took 52 staples to close my arms up after they did the surgery. I broke 2 ribs, broke my pelvis, and broke my sacrum bone. The sacrum is a very hard bone to break. You usually don't hear about it except in the elderly, unless someone is in a severe trauma such as myself. I was in the hospital for a week. Oh, I almost forgot to mention I had also had a fracture in the L1 vertebrae in my spine. So, yeah, I was pretty banged up. Amazingly, I never lost consciousness. I never went into shock. I was able to describe to the police officer in detail what had happened on the scene. I was a week in the hospital with multiple surgeries, and then I was transferred to Health South to a rehab facility. They literally doubted if I could handle the rehab so soon because the severity of my injuries, and it was excruciatingly painful. It took 3 physical therapists just to get me up out of the bed. And I would literally yell out in pain when it would happen. But I never asked them to stop. I was 2.5 weeks in the rehab facility, and I was able to go home. And I kind of laugh about that because no one thought I would be leaving that soon. The Lord was very merciful to me to, first of all, to let me live through the accident. The doctors, the physical therapist, the doctors where I had to get clearance to return to work. Whenever I was returning to work at about 3.5 months, and they told me it would be longer than 6 months before I'd ever able to come back to work. And 3.5 months later, I was back on the job. But those 3.5 months were not easy. I want to thank the Lord for His healing, but I also got to thank a very special lady, my wife. She stood by me when it was very difficult. When I was in the hospital and the rehab facility, she was off work for a while with me there by my side. And eventually, though, she had to go back to work while I was still in the rehab facility. She would work her full-time job, come straight from work, stay at the hospital with me till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, drive home, get just a very minimal amount of sleep, go back to work, and do the same thing, day after day after day. She literally exhausted herself trying to be there for me. And even when I got home, she had to bathe me. I was on a walker or a wheelchair. Both my arms were still badly broke. I could put no weight on them. And I required a lot of attention until I was able to fend for myself a little bit better. You know, when she took that vow, for better or for worse, she really meant that. I'm a very lucky man to be married to such a woman. It's been 1 year ago now, babe. And I know those first few months were not easy. But I love you very much. I appreciate you. I'll never forget what you done. You know, the Bible says that what value can you put on a virtuous woman? That her worth is far above rubies. I've got such a woman. And one of the best decisions I ever made was asking you to be my wife. I love you, babe. And I'm dedicating this to you.